Good morning, all. Today's topic of discussion is application specific integrated circuits. This is the fifth unit of the course VLSI Design and Technology for the class BENTC. The contents of this unit are design flow, cell design specifications, SPICE simulation, AC-DC analysis, transfer characteristics, transient responses, noise analysis, lambda rules, design rule check, fabrication methods of circuit elements, layout of cell, library cell designing for NAND and NOR, circuit extraction, electrical rule check, layout versus schematic, post layout simulation and parasitic extraction, design issues like antenna effect, electromigration effect, crosstalk and drain punch through timing analysis. According to the contents of the syllabus, the course outcome is defined as understand and apply various issues and constraints in design of an ASIC. The Bloom's taxonomy level is 4 and the PO mapping is PO 1, 2, 5, 12 and PSO 1 and PSO 2. As engineering principles are used to design the various ASIC based systems, it is mapped with PO1 with level 2. We have to analyze the ASIC design issues, hence it is mapped with PO2, that is problem analysis. The functional and timing simulation of ASIC requires the modern tool usage, hence it is mapped with PO5. The development of ASIC considering the advancement in technology is to be updated continuously. So it is also mapped with lifelong learning PO12. We have to analyze and design the electronic system using the ASIC. Hence it is mapped with PSO1 with level 2. And we have to implement the functional blocks of ASIC using the modern tools. Hence it is mapped with PSO2 with level 3. Now in today's lecture, we'll see the part 1 of this application specific integrated circuit. Objective of this lecture is to make the students familiarize with ASIC design flow and the CAD tools used by ASIC designers. So let us see the ASIC design flow step by step. So the first step in ASIC design is system specifications. So we have to analyze the problem and define the specifications of the system which we want to implement using ASIC. The next step in the design is architectural design. The architecture is to be defined and as per that the design in a hierarchical form is to be implemented. Next is functional design and logic design. Once the architecture is decided, based on the functional requirements, the different blocks can be designed and how the block can be implemented, that logic can also be decided. The next step is circuit design. Once the functional blocks and the logic is designed, we can go to the next level of abstraction, that is the circuit design. The detailed circuit can be designed. After that, the next step is physical design. In the physical design, we have to do the layout design for the chip. This physical design involves many steps like partitioning, chip planning, placement, clock tree synthesis, signal routing, and timing closure. In system partitioning, we divide the large system into the ASIC size pieces. So for a particular foundry, the size of the ASIC is fixed, like it is 1 mm by 1 mm or 1.5 by 1.5 mm. So if the design is bigger and cannot be fitted into that available chip area, then the design it is to be partitioned, means it is to be divided into the small block so that the ASIC size pieces can be done, and then with the help of which we can proceed for the chip design. So after that, the next step is chip planning. So on which chip which parts of the circuit will be implemented, that is the chip planning. Next to that is the placement. So in the chip planning, we arrange the different blocks of the chip in a particular fashion depending upon the netlist created. So how the interconnections will be there, as per that the chip planning is done. Then decide the location of the cell in a block, that is nothing but the placement. So how those blocks will be actually placed on the chip, that is the next step. Once the placement will be finished, the next job is clock tree synthesis. So we have to distribute the clock throughout the chip area. So that is a very tedious and complicated process, so that there should not be any delay while distributing the clock. At every part of the chip, the clock should reach at the same time. Then next comes the signal routing and then the timing closure. So once this routing will be completed, the timing analysis is done, so that for the critical path the delay is calculated, and then it is tried to minimize such type of delay for the critical path where the delay can malfunction the system. So that is the next step. Once these physical design steps are completed, the next step is physical verification and sign off. The design will be checked for the timing simulation and functional simulation and all. And then once all the design constraints are met, the next step is fabrication. For the fabrication purpose, the design will be given to the foundry where the chip will be fabricated on a silicon wafer. Once the fabrication will be completed, the next step is packaging and testing. So that small chip will be packaged into the ICs, which may be some DIP package or a plastic quad package. So packaging will be done, and then the testing, that the after fabrication the testing will be done to check each and every piece of the fabricated chip, and then that chip will be available to the user, so that can be sent to the market and can be made available to the users. So this complicated design of ASIC, you can just see how many steps are involved, and those steps cannot be done manually. So some CAD tools are available with the help of which we can simplify the process of ASIC design. So this is one layout editor window in which we can see the different menu or the toolbars which are available. So the first thing that is available is the drawing tools. So with the help of which we can draw the layouts for the chip. Then for drawing the layouts along with this drawing tool we require some palette. So based on the type of the layer, the different palettes are available. Like for metal, the blue color palette is available. Then for the diffusion, the green color palette is available. For the gate, that is the polysilicon, pink color palette is available. So likewise for different layers of the material, different color palettes are available. Then we have the mouse button bar, then the status bar, we have menu bar also, like file, edit, view, different options. Then we have toolbar, then the locator, with the help of which we can locate the exact position of the device on a chip. Then we have a cell browser. So the library files can be browsed with the help of this cell browser, in which the readily available components which are already designed by some design engineer, which are tested and readily available as a library component that we can browse. Then we have a text window in which we can have the details of the design, and then we have a layout window in which the actual layouts for the chip can be prepared. Now what does CAD tool do? So we have gone through the ASIC design flow. There are so many steps involved. So what is the job of this CAD tool? So to this CAD tool we have to provide the different inputs. Like the first input is the gate level netlist. Now in this gate level netlist we can do the design entry. The design entry to the CAD tool can be done with the help of different ways. Like we may enter the design with the help of some VHDL code or a Verilog code, and then we can have the gate level netlist. Then the another input that is to be given is the standard cell library. So from different vendors, different standard cell libraries are available, which acts like a input to this CAD tool. And the third important input is timing constraint. So the different net delays, the different component delays, everything, those timing constraints are also to be given to this CAD tool. And once all these inputs are given, then the CAD tool will prepare the layout for the chip. So about the first input of the CAD tool. So where does the gate level netlist come from? So directly that netlist is not available. We have to enter the design with the help of a VHDL or a Verilog code. That is the first input. And this input is given to the logic synthesizer, which is also called as a design compiler. Another input to this logic synthesis or design compiler block is the constraints. And once these will be fed to the logic synthesis or design compiler, finally we'll get a netlist. That is called as a gate level netlist. So that specifies the different components of the design and their interconnections and their inputs and outputs. Those will be specified in this gate level netlist. Then comes the second input to the CAD tool, that is about the standard cell library. So it is the pre-designed collection of logic functions like OR, AND, XOR, NAND, NOR. So different pre-designed logic functions are available as a standard library functions. It contains both layout and abstract views. The layout contains drawn mask layers required for fabrication, and the abstract contains only minimal data needed for the CAD tool. It also have the timing information, that is the cell delay, pin capacitance, etc., and the common height for the placement purposes. So all these details are available in the standard library cell. So this cell library is the key part of ASIC design, and for a programmable ASIC, the FPGA company supplies you with a library of logic cell in the form of a design kit, and you normally do not have a choice, and the cost is usually few $1,000s. So it is readily available and we have to go for only that because it is a vendor dependent thing. And if you have the option of designing the cells yourself, means you are not taking it from directly from the library, then the cell library may be available, or you can buy the cell library from some third party library vendor, or you can build your own library cell. So these are the other two options in which you can have a flexibility of your own design, in which the changes can be made as per your requirement. Then comes the third input to the CAD tool, that is the timing constraint. It is derived from system specifications and implementation of design, identical to the timing constraints used during the logic synthesis. Common constraints in the electronic design, that is clock speed or frequency, input output delays associated with IO signal, then the multi-cycle path and the false path. So we have to feed all information regarding the constraints for the timing that we want. CAD tool uses these constraints to consider the timing during each stage of place and route process. So the CAD tool will check the different possibilities by iteratively changing the placement of the different blocks. So which type of placement will give you the optimized design in which the delays will be minimized and they will be equal throughout the chip. So that will be continuously checked and it will be a iterative process. Routing will be done. After routing, again the delay will be checked. If the delays are as per the requirement, then the iteration will be stopped. Otherwise, continuously the process will go on. The placement will be continuously changed and then the routes are re-prepared to check the timing constraints. So what is this placement and routing that is shown in detail over here? So we have the design in the form of different logic cells which are available in the library. Like here the logic cell is OR gate and one inverter. So these are available from the library, and then if you will take these cells from the library, apply the timing constraint, then the layouts will be prepared. So next to that you can see the layout is prepared, which is a chip level layout in which the different layers are put and then the design will be prepared. So location of all the standard cells is automatically chosen by the tool during the placement based upon the routing and the timing. The pins are physically connected during the routing based upon the timing. So you can see the output pins like for A1, A2, Z. All these pins are taken outside because these are the physical pins available on the chip. Now we'll see the concept of placement. So there are different placement rows available, and generally the timing critical cells are placed together. Now you can see the different rows available, like the first row which consists of VDD line, then the different cells like the D flip-flop, AND gate, JK flip-flop, inverter. After that we have a VSS line, then there is a small gap and then we have VDD, again different another blocks like buffer, inverter, multiplexer, and then again a VSS line. So likewise the cells are placed in a row, just like the bricks in the house building process. The cells are placed. The standard cells are placed in the placement rows, and cells in the timing critical path are placed close together to reduce the routing delay. That is the timing, because it is a timing driven process. So continuously while placing those blocks like mux and that inverter 1, they are placed near to each other. There may be some constraint on the timing, or the whatever interconnections are there between the different blocks, they are reduced. The critical path delay components are placed in the same row instead of the different rows, so that the connections can be minimized. The placement row can be abutting or non-abutting. That means I have those diagrams with me, that what is abutting and what is non-abutting. So in this but abutted rows, we can see that there is no spacing between the different rows of the standard cells. So here we can see that the cells are flipped, like the upper row is VSS, then the different standard cells, and then VDD, and then downward row VDD, the cells, and again VSS. So there is no spacing in between. So the VDD of the upper row and VDD of the downward row of placement is combined. This is called as abutted row, and then I have the non-abutted also, in which the uh, clear channel or spacing is kept between the two rows of the standard cells. Then we'll see the concept of routing, because all these words came in the ASIC design flow, so we'll just get it familiar with these terms. So what is the routing? So once the cells will be placed, now it is required to interconnect the different cells. Like output of one cell will act as an input to the next cell and vice versa. So there is interconnection required between the different standard cells which are placed in different rows. So we can see in the design that we have a metal 1 layer over which we have a oxide, then metal 2, then oxide, and again metal 3. And different metal layers are used for implementing the different layers of the chip, just like the multi-layer PCB. So we have a metal 1, suppose the flip-flops are implemented on metal 1. Then metal 2 we have only VDD lines. Then metal 3 we may have only VSS lines. The other combinational logic is implemented with the help of some metal 4. So likewise different metal layers are used for implementation of different parts of the chip, and then some interconnections are required between the different parts. So like metal 1 and 2, if you require some interconnection, then for that we require a via. So that via is just like a plated through hole in the multi-layer PCBs, with the help of which we can have the interconnection between the different layers of the metals. Like here via 1, 2 is there to have interconnection between metal 1 and 2. Via 2, 3 is there to have interconnection between metal 2 and metal 3. So connections between the metal layers require one or more vias, and the metal layers have preferred routing directions. Generally the alternate metal layers, they will be routed alternately as horizontal and vertical. Like metal 1 is routed with a horizontal layers, then metal 2, that is the yellow color, that those are vertical, and again red is horizontal. So alternately vertical, horizontal, that type of routing will be done to minimize the crosstalk and the different effects in the chip. So like metal 1, that is blue, that is horizontal, metal 2 yellow vertical, metal 3 red horizontal. So this is the concept of routing. Thank you.